Hello everyone, I am Dr. Veena MD Almeida, Associate Professor, Teresian College, Mysore. Today's topic of discussion is income from other sources. I welcome you all to this session on income from other sources. As per Income Tax Act of 1961, for the purpose of computing total income of an SSC, income has been divided under 5 heads. First one is income from salaries. Any remuneration paid by an employer to his employee in consideration of his services is called salary. It includes monetary value of those benefits and facilities provided by the employer which are taxable. Second head, income from house property. Any rent or revenue derived from house property is taxable under this head. Third head is profits and gains of business or profession. Any profit or gain arising from business or profession is taxable under this head. Fourth head is income from capital gains. Any gain arising from the transfer of a capital asset is taxable under this head. Fifth head is income from other sources. This is the last head of income. Any income which is not finding place under any of the first 4 heads of income will be accessible under this head. Let me explain the various incomes taxable under income from other sources which are mentioned in section 56 subsection 2 of the Income Tax Act of 1961. Dividend. Dividend means the sum received by a shareholder of a company on the distribution of its profits. Income from lottery winnings, crossword puzzles, races, card games or any sort of gambling or betting of any form or nature. All interest, interest on securities, interest on bank deposits, interest on loan, even interest earned on share application money deposited in bank is taxable in the year of allotment of shares. Income of a tenant from subletting the whole or part of the house property is also taxable. Any remuneration received by a teacher or lawyer from any university for doing examination work is taxable under income from other sources as it is not received from the employer. Royalty received. A royalty is a payment made by one party to another for the right to use the property, book or music or any song. Director's fees. If the SSC is a director of a company, any fees received from a company is taxable under this head. Agriculture income from land situated outside India is taxable under other sources. Agriculture income from land situated in India is exempt under section 10 subsection 1 of the Income Tax Act of 1961. Income from markets, ferries and fisheries is also taxable under this head. Incomes taxable under income from other sources also include any remuneration received for writing articles in journals, magazines, newspapers, etc. Income from undisclosed or unexplained sources are also taxable under this head. Any interest received by an employee on his own contribution to an unrecognized provident fund is also taxable under this head. In provident fund there are 4 types: statutory provident fund, recognized provident fund, unrecognized provident fund and public provident fund. Any interest received by an employee on his own contribution to unrecognized provident fund is taxable under income from other sources. Next one is salary of a member of parliament, member of legislative council or member of legislative assembly. Though it is a salary, it is not taxable under income from salary because MPs, MLAs and MLCs are not the employees of government, they are the representatives of people. Any commission received by an SSC in the capacity of a director is also taxable under this head. Family pension received by the family of deceased employee is taxable under income from other sources. Pension received by retired employee is taxable under salaries, but family pension is not taxable under salary as family members are not the employees. Any tips received by a waiter or a taxi driver not being given by his employer are taxable under this head. Any receipts or any incomes received by cricketers selected to play for India is also taxable under this head. Income from composite letting. Let me explain the meaning of composite letting. Composite letting means letting on building along with plant and machinery and furniture, and it is not possible to separate the income of plant and machinery and furniture from the income of buildings. Any incomes derived from composite letting is taxable under other sources. One of the important incomes taxable under other sources is dividend. In ordinary language, dividend means the sum received by a shareholder of a company on the distribution of its profits, whether out of taxable income or tax-free income. It is immaterial whether it is received in cash or in kind. It is better to understand the meaning of normal dividend and interim dividend. Any dividend declared by a company at its annual general meeting shall be deemed to be the income of the previous year in which it is so declared. Dividend declared once in a year is a normal dividend. Interim dividend, it is one which is declared by a company at any time prior to its annual general meeting, or any dividend which is declared in between two annual general meetings is considered as interim dividend. Let me explain the taxability of dividend. Any dividend received from a domestic company is exempt from tax. Domestic company means Indian company. It can include dividend on preference shares, equity shares, and even income from units of a mutual fund. Dividend from a cooperative society. The amount received as dividends from the cooperative society shall be included in the income. However, the society is not empowered to deduct tax at source. Hence, the question of grossing up of dividends does not arise in case of dividends received from a cooperative society. Dividends from a foreign company. The dividend received from a foreign company is to be included net in the income and taxable. However, where SSC claims double taxation relief, the gross amount shall be included in income and it is taxable. Interest on securities. It is better to understand the meaning of security. The term security has not been defined in the Act. However, in common parlance, the term security means a document acknowledging the debt taken by the government or some other authority from the general public. It is held by an investor or creditor as guarantee of his right to receive payment. The income from interest on securities shall be chargeable to tax under the head income from other sources if it is not taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession. This interest is taxable under the head income from other sources if securities are held as investments, and if it is taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession if securities are held as stock in trade. Cum interest or ex interest transactions. When securities are bought or sold between the two interest dates, the transaction is either cum interest or ex interest. Whatever be the nature of the transaction, the rule is that interest on securities is regarded as wholly the income of the person who happens to be the owner at the time when the interest becomes due, irrespective of whether he was the owner throughout the period of which the interest is paid or not, and also whether the transaction has been cum interest or ex interest. Cum interest transactions means securities are transferred along with interest. Ex interest transactions means securities are transferred excluding or without interest. Securities are of four types: tax-free government securities, less tax government securities, tax-free non-government securities or commercial securities, and less tax non-government securities or commercial securities. Tax-free government securities. These securities are those the interest on which is fully exempt from tax under section 10 subsection 15. Interest on such securities is neither included in total income nor it is taxed. Securities, bonds, deposits on which interest is fully exempt from tax are 12-year National Savings Annuity Certificate, National Defence Gold Bonds 1980, Special Bearer Bonds 1991, Treasury Savings Deposit Certificates 10 years, Post Office Cash Certificates 5 years, National Plan Certificates 10 years, National Plan Savings Certificates 12 years. Tax-free government securities also include Post Office National Savings Certificates 12 years or 7 years, Post Office Savings Bank Account. In case of individual account, interest received on Post Office Savings Bank Account is exempt up to Rs 3,500. In the case of joint account, interest received on Post Office Savings Bank Account is exempt up to Rs 7,000. The other tax-free government securities are Post Office Cumulative Time Deposit Account 15 years, Fixed Deposit Scheme governed by the Post Office Fixed Deposit Rules 1968, Public Account in Post Office, Interest on 7% Capital Investment Bonds, and Special Deposit Scheme 1981. One of the types of securities is less tax government securities. Such securities are issued by the central government or a state government, and these are taxable securities, but no tax is deducted at source on such securities. Hence, the interest on such securities will not be grossed up. The amount received is due, as the case may be, shall be included in the total income. Tax-free non-government securities or commercial securities. These securities are issued by a local authority or statutory corporation or a company in the form of debentures or bonds. Really speaking, their interest is not tax-free because tax due on this interest is payable by the company or local authority or corporation concerned. These are called tax-free because the SSA has not to pay tax on it from his own pocket. The tax paid by the company on this interest is deemed to have been paid on behalf of the SSA. Hence, the amount of tax paid on any interest due to an SSA is added up in his interest income. That is, the interest due to an SSA is grossed up, and then this grossed up amount is included in his total income. The amount of tax paid by the company on this interest is deducted from the total tax payable by the SSA. For example, if a company has issued 10% tax-free debentures, the debenture holder will receive the entire amount of interest calculated at 10%, but the amount to be included in the total income of the debenture holder will be the amount actually received by him as interest plus income tax thereon paid by the company. Less tax non-government securities or commercial securities. These may be called taxable securities. In the case of these securities, income tax is deducted at source on the amount of interest calculated at the percentage stated on the securities, and balance of the amount of interest left after deduction of the income tax is paid to the security holder. If the rate percent of interest is given, it is not grossed up, as it is already the gross amount of interest, and income tax is to be deducted therefrom. If in the case of these securities the net amount of interest received is given, it has got to be grossed up. In any case, it is the gross amount of interest that is included in the total income of an assessee. As we have discussed, it is the gross amount of interest that is included in the total income of an assessee, and the assessee has to pay tax on gross interest and not on net interest. Let me explain the rules followed for grossing up the interest on securities. If the rate of interest and amount invested is given, only the interest on tax-free commercial securities is grossed up, and all other securities is not grossed up. Interest on tax-free commercial securities is always grossed up, whether its rate is given or amount received is given. Interest on less tax securities is grossed up when the amount received is given. The question of grossing up of interest will not arise in case of interest received on tax-free government securities, as it is exempt from tax, and there is no need of grossing up of interest in case of less tax securities, because interest is paid without deducting tax at source. But in case of interest received on tax-free and less tax commercial securities, there is a need of grossing up of interest. Let me explain the method of grossing up of interest on commercial securities. In case of interest received on listed securities in stock exchange, rate of tax deducted at source is 10%, and the formula used to gross up the interest is gross amount is equal to interest received into 100 divided by 90. And in case of interest received on unlisted securities, rate of tax deducted at source is 10%, and the formula what we use to gross up the interest is equal to interest received into 100 divided by 90. And in case of winnings from lottery, crossword puzzles, horse race, card games, betting, etc., rate of tax deducted at source is 30%. And the method what we use to find out the gross winnings is equal to net amount received into 100 divided by 70. Tax will not be deducted at source if the winnings from lottery, crossword puzzles, card games does not exceed rupees 10,000. Tax shall not be deducted at source from interest payable on 4.1/4% National Defence Bonds or National Defence Loan, National Development Bonds, 7-year National Savings Certificates, debentures issued by any cooperative society or a public sector company notified by the central government, 6.5% gold bonds 1977 or 7% gold bonds 1980. And if interest on listed debentures does not exceed rupees 5,000, and if it is paid through account payee check, tax shall not be deducted at source from interest. Under Section 57 of Income Tax Act of 1961 as amended up to date, there are few deductions allowable under the head income from other sources. First one is reasonable collection charges. In the case of dividends or interest on securities, any reasonable sum paid by way of commission or remuneration to a bank or any other person for the purpose of realizing such dividend or interest on behalf of the assessee is deductible. Interest on loan taken for the purpose of investment in shares or securities will also be deductible if it is actually used for the purpose of purchasing shares or debentures. In case of subletting of a house, that is letting of a part of the house by a tenant, the rent, repair charges or any other expenditure exclusively towards sublet portion are also deductible. Any other expenditure not in the nature of capital or personal incurred wholly and exclusively for the purpose of earning any income which is taxable under the head income from other sources is also deductible. In the case of income in the nature of family pension received by family members of a deceased employee, a deduction of a sum equal to 33 1/3% of such income or rupees 15,000, whichever is less, will be allowed. And in the case of income from composite letting, that is letting of machinery, plant or furniture with or without buildings, which is chargeable to tax under the head income from other sources, expenditure incurred on current repairs, insurance premium paid and depreciation towards buildings, machinery, plant or furniture are also deductible. Let me explain the various amounts which shall not be deductible in computing income under the head income from other sources, which are mentioned under section 58 of the Income Tax Act of 1961. First one is any personal expenses of the SSC like drawings, travelling expenses are disallowed. Any sum paid on account of wealth tax is also disallowed. Any payment to a relative or to an associate shall be disallowed if the assessing officer considers it to be excessive or unreasonable, having regard to the circumstances of the case. Only excessive or unreasonable amount is disallowed. Next one is payments in cash. Any expenditure in respect of which payment made to a person in a day exceeding rupees 10,000 is disallowed at 100%. However, where payment is made for plying, hiring, the limit of disallowance shall be exceeding rupees 35,000 instead of exceeding rupees 10,000. Next one is expenses or losses in connection with income from lottery, crossword puzzles, races, including horse races, card games, gambling or betting of any nature shall not be deductible in computing the said income. However, this prohibition will not apply in respect of the income of an SSC being the owner of horses maintained by him for running in horse races from the activity of owning and maintaining such horses. And the last one is expenses incurred in relation to exempted incomes are not deductible. Bond washing transactions. Under section 94 of the Income Tax Act of 1961 as amended up to date, bond washing transactions is a device which is used to avoid tax, which is used by high income group of SSEs by transferring securities to low income class of SSEs on the eve of the due date of interest. Generally, interest on securities is payable half yearly or yearly and these dates are fixed. As the whole amount of interest is regarded as the income of the person who happens to be the owner at the time when the interest becomes due, some tactful persons sell their securities a few days before the due date of interest to some of their friends or relatives and buy them back a few days after the expiry of the due date of interest. Thus, they do not remain the owner of the securities on the due date of interest and they are not required to pay tax on this income from interest on securities. they sell their securities to such persons whose total income, including the income from interest on securities, either does not exceed the minimum taxable limit, or if it exceeds that limit, it is lesser than that of the seller, so that either no tax will be payable on the interest or it will be payable at the lower rate. Thus, the seller escapes tax completely, and buyer also does not pay tax on it, as his income is below the minimum taxable limit. And if the buyer's income exceeds the minimum taxable limit, he will pay tax at lower rate of interest, which is in fact secretly paid by the seller on behalf of the buyer. Thus, by this device, the income tax department suffers loss of revenue. In order to prevent this device of avoiding tax, it has been provided that the assessing officer can include such an income from interest on securities in the total income of the person who is actually the owner of the securities and who wants to escape tax by adopting this device. There are two exceptions. The assessing officer shall not apply this rule in the following two cases. First one is, if the assessee proves to the satisfaction of the assessing officer that there has been no avoidance of income tax, or second one, if the assessee proves that the avoidance of income tax is exceptional and not systematic, and there was no avoidance of income tax in any of the 3 preceding years. In connection with such transactions, the assessing officer has the power to enforce the assessee to furnish the required information. In this session, we have learnt about various incomes taxable under income from other sources, various deductions allowed, disallowed, dividend, securities, types of securities, their taxability, grossing up of interest, rules and method of grossing up of interest, method of avoidance of tax, that is bond washing transactions. Let me conclude this session by saying income from other sources is the last head of income. Any income which is not taxable under any of the other heads is taxable under this head. The list of incomes taxable under this head, which I have discussed, is not conclusive, it is inclusive. The solving of problems on income from other sources will be discussed in the next session. Thank you.